welcome back to Crash Course for Literature. Today we're going to talk about Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, one of the greatest love stories of all time. Now before we get started, Grace is going to tell us a little bit about Emily Bronte.
Emily Bronte. You might know her and you might know the name because she is sister to Charlotte Bronte, who is the author of Jane Eyre, which is yet another masterpiece by the Bronte name. So Emily and Charlotte grew up in Yorkshire, England, and they grew up and they were reading and they were writing constantly because their mother was dead and their father was a clergyman and he was just absent from their lives. Then eventually Wuthering Heights was published and did not really get all that famous. And then eventually Emily died at the age of 33 from tuberculosis, and a second edition of Wuthering Heights was published again, and Charlotte created a foreword which was put into the book, and that became the well-known piece that everyone knows to this day.
So now a little synopsis about the book. Of course, like we said, it's the greatest love story of all time, but it's a gothic romance, so that's a little bit different. Now, it starts off with Heathcliff and Catherine Earnshaw. Now, Catherine's family owns property. It's called Wuthering Heights, again, the title of the book, wow. And her father comes home one day with a boy that he finds in London or some other city named Heathcliff. And so the family adopts him. And as they grow up, Catherine and Heathcliff fall in love, but Heathcliff doesn't have a title or any money to his name. So Catherine feels she can't marry him. And that turns into this big, huge downward spiral that sets off the book, which really centers around love and hatred and revenge.
The strange thing about Wuthering Heights is that it's not told from either Heathcliff or Catherine's perspective, but from their servant, Nellie or Ellen Dean. As I said, she's a housemaid at Wuthering Heights. So when you would think of a love story, you would think about it from the perspective of the two people in love. But instead we get the outside thoughts and words of Nellie and her taking in what she is witnessing and hearing from Catherine and Heathcliff herself. And she hears Catherine one time talking about Heathcliff and saying, "Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same." And it's lines like those that you know that the love is deep and the love is felt, but it makes it even more known because it is from the perspective of Nellie. Side note, Nellie is our favorite character, and here's why.
Now, after everyone else is going crazy with their whole love story, love triangles, hatred, and things, Nellie has one of the best quotes in the entire book, and forget all that sappy stuff. "I went about my household duties, convinced that the Grange had but one sensible soul in its walls, and that lodged in my body."
Wuthering Heights is not full of a lot of humor, but it has Nellie, so it makes it all okay in the end.
Like we said, Wuthering Heights is one of the greatest love stories of all time, but inside of that love story, there's a lot of hatred. Because Heathcliff can't have Catherine, he becomes a very hate-filled and vengeful person. And even all of the characters in the novel show a lot of hate at some point in time, or just bad qualities in humanity. They're not perfect characters.
My. How is it a love story with all of this hate?
Now, while I did say that there's a lot of hate in the novel, this hatred makes the characters seem like real people because they're not perfect. They're not made up angels in this novel. They're real people just like you and I with flaws. And with all their flaws, a lot of them find love in the end too, real, true love. And that's what turns the novel into such a great love story.
Side note, why are there so many Catherines? Who names their kid exactly after themselves? And Heathcliff's, Linton's, Hareton's. There is only one Hareton, but there's like 6 H's.
Make a chart.
Makes it a lot
Survive.
easier. Just make it easy for yourself. Make that chart.
And with this being one of the greatest love stories of all time, we only find it fitting to finish with some of our favorite love quotes from Wuthering Heights.
"If all else perished and he remained, I should still continue to be. And if all else remained and he were annihilated, the universe would turn to a mighty stranger. I would not seem a part of it."
Oh God, it is unutterable. I cannot live without my life. I cannot live without my soul.
Would you like to live with your soul in the grave?
The entire world is a dreadful collection of memoranda that she did exist, and that I have lost her.
Thanks again for watching. This video was made by Grace Butler and Maya Watercutter. We strongly recommend that you read Wuthering Heights. While it is an old novel and hard to understand at times, it's definitely worth the read. It is a literary classic.
And also, you might be Team Edgar at times, you might be Team Heathcliff. It's basically an old version of, what is that called? Twilight. But it's so much better. And whenever you run into Joseph talking, you just gotta get through it. A lot of times the things that he's saying is unnecessary, and a lot of times it's important. It's not that important. It's not that. Joseph's a very secondary character. Just worry about the main ones, and you will have a great time.